Well, it is currently 1:15 a.m. and it dawns on me as I'm about to go to bed, 1:15 a.m. because I just barely finished packing. Relatively empty gear shelves. And it hits me. Why didn't I pull out the phone and blog this? Why didn't I get a time lapse, get a something? So here I am.
I'm already going. Now this is a shot of the room that I'm going to be setting up in. And as usual, time lapse for the setup. I'm loading everything in by myself. No cart, no Josh, just me. So as you can see right there in the background, the train right next to us was loud and came in about every 20 to 30 minutes. So had to contend with that. As I'm setting up cameras here, this is the A7S III. It's a great camera. Had it for 3 years, and I don't see any need to upgrade to anything else. It's just a great camera. FS7 is my B cam. I wouldn't have considered buying this because the color science is so different, but I use the Phantom LUTs, and it matches them both up very close, so I'm very happy with it. Just do a few tweaks in post, and they're right there. And I got a great deal on it, by the way.
So as I'm doing this, I figure I'd better talk through my setup as I'm setting up. So I got in here at around 3:30 or so, and we're gonna start interviews at about 10:30. So technically I have about 2 hours to set up. I don't think I need that much. I think I need an hour to set up. But as you can see, one-man banding it with, 2 camera setup, lights and all that stuff. It's quite a bit when it's this much gear. Shout out to Peter Mokri, who gets it all done, his big old setups usually by himself. So taking a page out of his book. So now I'm just setting up the lights, which when I talk about and I point out my 300 Godox, my 300D, the SL300D, or actually buy, I love that light because it's one plug into the wall, into the unit, done. So I'm gonna see if this baby turns on. Proper etiquette is to shout out Storyking when you're turning on a light. Now, there's nobody here but me. But still, you always want to follow proper etiquette. So just for the sake of the video, I am Storyking. Here we are. My goal is to make a sort of a book light. I'm going to be bouncing and then diffusing. But I won't be doing the traditional book light that should be like this. I'm actually just going to be shooting into a Westcott umbrella, which is not the shoot through, but a bounce.
And just as I said, it's not a traditional book light, but it's the same idea to bounce it off of a reflective surface and then bounce it back into another piece of diffusion. And in this case, it's a two-stop piece of diffusion, so it's giving off a nice soft light like a book light would. And this is very portable with it being an umbrella.
This is what we got. See my big old bounce light? I'll get a good shot of that right now. And this is what we have. Let me get some close-ups on it. All right, so this is from camera A. I'll be looking off in this direction for the interview. So I feel this is good fill. This is good key, and this is good shadow side. It's not too dramatic. I'm gonna try to throw a light in the back to kind of lighten up the background, but I moved the setup because of the restroom sign that was back there. That one. Sorry, I got it on 5X here. And this is looking in this direction. And that's for my close. Hey, Cam. Let me lower this just so it's not up in my way. A-cam looking at interviewer. And B-cam looking at interviewer. So this is my current setup. Man, it's so hard not to have somebody, extra
Sometimes Josh will be behind camera and I'll be sitting in the chair so he could set it, or vice versa. But now it's just me, so it's like, I just gotta rely on the monitors. And that camera is not autofocus, or it doesn't autofocus well, the FS7, so I'm manually focusing and I don't have like a dummy head. So if you're working solo, having a head that you can put on a light stand that you could put in your spot would actually be great. You could see how light hits it and still be behind the camera. Light setup now. This is the kind of bounce diffuse light that I'm trying to do. It's not a book light, but it's still giving me that I don't want to say double diffuse because I'm not shooting directly into two sets of diffusion, but what I am doing is, let me get a wider perspective. So I'm not shooting through 2 or 3 sets of diffusion, but what I am doing is I'm bouncing the light off of an actual silk here. That's actually a silk material. It's white silk. So it is, it's got a sheen to it, so it's gonna bounce a little more and then right off into my my 4x shoot through diffusion. And this guy brings it down 2 stops already, so we're talking about super soft light here. So yeah, and I'm just gonna play with it a little more once the subject gets in here, but this is what it's looking like so far. I still need to add a backlight to give my subject a rim, so we'll see how that works out, and then I still gotta set up for sound. So I'm not doing too bad. Even with vlogging, I still have an extra 15 minutes to go, so let's set up sound. I'm running my XLR boom into the FS7, but even if I wasn't using the FS7, I could run it into my Phantom power supply that I purchased separately, and then run it into a headphone jack into the A7S III or the Rode Wireless Pros. Okay. This is the final setup. Kind of nuts. This guy here is to illuminate the background just a little bit because it was falling in darkness. I killed the house lights. So threw that to fill it in a bit. I put up this flag. I didn't get that in the time lapse, but I put up this flag to kill the spill because it was spilling all kinds on this wall. So now that's gone. That's a little bit of spill from that light, but not so bad. I don't think those parts, like I had it a lot lower, that's why it's so high. I had it a lot lower, and this was, the shadows were much higher, and they were in the shot. Now they're not. I was gonna shoot into this corner, but that bathroom, I already said it, but that bathroom just got in the way, so we pivoted more towards the colorful wall. There's the hair light. Man, this one is a classic, man. I know a lot of people have been using the tube lights, and that's what prompted me to bring this guy back out. It is an old school Yongnuo. If you know anything about the budget market, you know about Yongnuo. I've had this thing since I started. Well, I don't want to say I started. I've had my panel lights, which are still here. They're over there in between, in the back there. But the panel lights is where I got this, and I have no choice but to hang this guy. If anybody has suggestions on what I can do to like not have to suspend it by the cord. But anyway, I brought that cord because that was from my OG Yongnuo LED panels that I had. Those are my first lights. And so the setup currently is, as I said earlier, 600D shooting into the Westcott Silk, which is bouncing into this diffusion. Got it flagged off. Got my sound going, got my 2 cameras going. Got this guy armed out. And I got that light in the background. So what I found out is I will be conducting the interviews. I originally had thought that the person that I'm working with, she was going to conduct the interviews, but she's taking care of the class, so I will be conducting it, which is not a problem. It's not a problem, but so yeah, so that's going to be the twist in this little vlog, is you'll see me conducting the interviews. I've definitely done it before, so it's not a hard thing to do. You're just thinking of the story when you're trying to do it. So I'll catch some behind the scenes footage of that, and let's see how it goes. All right. So as you can see, the whole setup took a while because I had to unload and then set it up and then put it where I wanted it. Now everything looks good, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. What I did was I brought it into Premiere, and I put my LUT on it just to see what it looked like. And I really liked the way that it looked with the LUT on, and here it is. And I think it just looks really great. But you'll notice it's flipped. She's looking at camera right, but I have them set up looking camera left. Now, I'll explain to you why that happened in just a moment. But I really love the way that the camera combined with this LUT, it looks so good, especially with her skin tone, the interviewee skin tone here. Just the way the light falls off, and I just love the way it looks. So that's the teacher in the background right outside putting a be quiet, don't disturb, filming. And so this is the way it looks on her skin tone, and I think it looks great. So why are they flipped? Well, as you can see here, I'm flipping the whole setup, and I'm trying to shoot into a different corner of the room, change it up. I wanted them to speak to the opposite side of the camera, so have them looking camera right. But in my rush, they're looking camera left, and I didn't realize it till afterwards. And I flipped the other ones instead of these ones because if you'll take a look here, I could see the chest area, and one of the students had writing on their chest, so on their shirt. So if I would have flipped the other ones, then you would have seen backwards writing. So that's why I flipped the first set. That's the FS7, that's the close angle, and I love the way it cut in. Thus ends the interviews. Did a great job. I'm just shutting cameras down now. So yeah, everything went really well. Everybody was very articulate. That's all you can ever ask for in an interview is, the people to be able to know what they're doing, and all these kids really knocked it out. So now I get to break all this stuff down all by myself. Yay! But that's what you can sign up for when you do it solo. So for what we do, I'm so glad that Josh and I are a team, and then we also have Augie who we work with whenever we have really big gigs. So I wish I had a team today, but it's all good. So here we go with the breakdown time lapse. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a larger setup like this by myself. Back in the day, it was just a camera, 2 cameras, a softbox or something. But just, boom mic, everything. It's been a while since I've done this by myself. So, yeah, it was a chore setting up. It's an even bigger chore breaking down because it's like, well, I'm done now. But now I got to break down. And, if you're smart, you're going to put everything back where you pulled it out from. You're not just going to sew it in the bag or the box. So, yeah, just sometimes it gets tedious. So, my friend who I was helping do this, she came out and we were just talking about the students and everything like that. So that may break down a little bit easier because, I'm just not, paying attention to what I'm doing, but I'm also actually having some conversation. So makes things go a little bit easier.